Good morning, Rabbi. Welcome to Breakfast in the Class. Breakfast in the Class today is sponsored and the entire week in loving memory of Behnam Beruchim, Leilu Nishmat Yosef Ben Goel Alav Shalom, for the continued health of Chana Bat Tzima Fega, and for the Refuah Shlema V'Yal Shulom Mazar Fortuné, and Chaim Rafael Ben Frida. The year of Breakfast in the Class is dedicated in loving memory of Nishmat Ruth or Farhi Bat Adela, sponsored by her family. And as well in loving memory of Mike Winnick, Alav Shalom Nishmat Menachem and Sarah Azkara, from his children Shari, Simone, and Aaron. Dad, we miss your wit, your critical thinking, your moral clarity, and your ability to make us see that everything is from Hashem and will be okay. May his neshama have an aliyah. We need that feeling and that clarity now, today, and in our lives. Also, the learning for this week is dedicated by the Torah Center Silver donor Ronen Kamenetz, in loving memory, and Lilu Nishmat Ronen's Saba Zerach Ben Shimon, and for the immediate release of our hostages and the absolute victory over our enemies, inshallah, Bikarov, mamash, mamash, mamash. Okay, let us begin. The end of our parasha discusses a fascinating mitzvah. The mitzvah of Pidyon Haben. And let me read to you the pasuk that it says at the end of the parasha. The pasuk says, Kol peterechem lechol basar asher yakrivu laHashem. All firstborn of the womb that you would bring close to Hashem, ba'adam ba'behema, in a man, in a human, and as well in an animal, yelecha achpadot tifte'et b'chol adam. But you just required to redeem that firstborn. Now, the Zohar tells us that this redemption of the firstborn is not only a mitzvah that a person has an obligation to fulfill, but is also considered to be a protection for that child. Leme'abad purkana libere lekashre lebehayin. He is bringing salvation to his son by doing a pidyon haben, lekashra lebehayin, to tie him to life. That's what pidyon haben actually does. And the Gemara says in Baba Kama, shenikra pidyon haben, Yeshua haben. The pidyon haben, the redeeming of the firstborn, is also called the saving of the firstborn. Now, we've discussed, the Gemara actually over there brings a story of a child that the pidyon was dragging on, and they didn't do the pidyon in the time. And the Gemara over there says, Uba shunre, and a cat actually came along, v'katal li'ado shel hatinok, and bit the hand of the child. And that's what reminded them that the child wasn't protected. They were remembered that they needed this protection for the child, and that reminded them to do the pidyon for their child. Now, just to get into the realm of halakha for a second, what happens if a person, for whatever reason, did not have a pidyon haben? As an example, what could be an example of why a person would not have done a pidyon haben? Example might be the child, there was a time of sakana on the 31st day. They would have wanted to go, they're all stuck in bomb shelter. They're all stuck in COVID. They couldn't leave the house, they couldn't find. Another example, they can't find a kohen. Can't do pidyon. Right? A lot of reasons why this could happen. Someone might not be, parents might not be religious. By the way, this is one of the things I always tell people. If you're Baal Teshuvah, if you return to Teshuvah and your parents are completely secular, odds are there was no pidyon haben. Usually, even secular parents are going to get a brit milah done. A bris is something which is like a social Jewish thing. Even if a person is not necessarily so religious, they still have a brit milah. Also, relatively easily checkable, like they say, yeah. Right? Easy to find out. With a pidyon, you don't know. So a person should ask. Someone asked me, what if I don't know If my parents did a pidyon, they both passed away. What do you think the halacha is? Do it again. Why? Show your work. You can't just give a guess. Huh?
Is it doraita?
Excellent. That's the question to ask. If pidyon haben is deoraita, any safek deoraita, what do? The chumrah. Huh? It's okay. Actually, you know what? Yeah. So I want you to listen. I want you to listen to this because to me, this is I read this in halakha. I was surprised. We've discussed this before. That you had scenarios where the child were not podeh the child. The father then passes away. What did they used to do? They would make the child a necklace, and on the necklace was a piece of silver, and the silver said, Lo Padui. You know how you can have sometimes the guy has that bracelet from the hospital? Yeah, diabetic, no. Allergic to this item, don't give him penicillin. It's going to kill him. They would have an item they would wear from birth or from that period until when? Until they were 13. And then they would tell the person to be podeh, to go and redeem themselves as a gadol. Because the mitzvah is on the father when he's a child. But if the father doesn't fulfill the mitzvah, who does the mitzvah fall to? The child himself. Now, having said that, hello. Having said that, perfect. Oh. Get ready to say the beracha. Having said that, let's move to the next concept here, and I think that this is really why I wanted to discuss this. Yeah, in a scenario where the child has the battery. Hello. In a scenario where the child has not had it, that's what they're supposed to do. They go revisit the item, and they do their very best to be able to be podeh, because the person needs this element of protection. So I wanted to just talk about this concept. You know, there are times when a person's father was supposed to do something, and the father didn't do it. Right? In our generation, what's the antidote for that? You go to therapy forever because your father didn't give you the love that you needed. Well, I don't know how to read. My father didn't teach me. How do you want from me? And they never sent me to Jewish school. But my friends, one of the elements that we're learning over here is, your father wasn't podeh you, podeh yourself. Pay the price, reach into your own pocket, do it yourself. And to me, this is a striking conversation, a conversation that I don't think we have enough when it comes to our generation, the generation's children. And I want to give an example of this idea. I'm going to share with you a famous Gemara. The Gemara says as follows. Hahutaya. There was a certain Arab salesman, a merchant, traveling merchant. Peddler is probably the right word. Anyway, he meets Rabbi Bar Bar Chana. Zman achada, one time, Hava azilna be'urcha. I was going on the way. Amali ahutaya, this traveling peddler tells me, Bo ve'er'elecha makom, let me show you the place, shel bilu'e Korach. Ta'ach vilach bili'e de Korach. I'm going to show you where they were swallowed. Chaza, tere baz'i de havenafik hutra minayu. In the middle of the desert, he shows him two spots where there's smoke coming out of the earth. Shakel gavava de amra. this Arab peddler takes a piece of wool, amshaye maya, he puts it into the water, ve'otve beresh rumcha, and he puts it at the tip of his spear, hatam, over the hole, says the Gemara, ve'achrich, and the wet wool was burned, illustrating that it wasn't just smoke coming out of the ground, but there was heat, there was fire there. My Lord, if that's not enough for you, just wait till you hear what comes next. My Lord, he said to him, Atzit mashamat. Listen, what do you hear? Vishameo dehave amri hachi, and he heard that they were saying, a voice was saying as follows from this hole that had burned the wool. Moshe emet, v'torato emet. Moshe is true, and his Torah is true. Vehem badaim, and they are liars. So, first of all, fascinating story. He sees the place, right? I would pay anything to get to see this place. To listen to that. I would record that. Come back and play it for everybody. Moshe emet, Torato emet. Moshe is true, his Torah is true. Vehim badaim, and they are liars. Chazal tell us that for all of eternity, Korach and the people who were swallowed up with him are saying this on repeat. I want to point out one thing. If Rabbi Bar Chana is listening to them talk, what precisely should they be saying? Moshe emet, v'torato emet, and and what? Finish the end of what they're supposed to be saying.
And I was a liar.
And we are liars. Let's contrast this for a minute with Paro. Paro says, Hashem is tzaddik, ve'ani, and me, ve'ani and my people, Harshaim, are the wicked. Now, Paro doesn't say that forever. He says it for a minute, and then he goes back to his evil ways. That was said at the seventh Makkah, the Makkah of Barad, of hailstones. But it should have said, Moshe is true, his Torah is true, ve'ani, or ve'anachnu, badaim. So simple answer to this question is that Rabbi Bar Chana is relaying back to us that they said, Moshe is true, Torah is true, and they are liars. But Rabbi Bar Chana is just relating what they said. If you listen to the actual words they said, they would have been saying, Moshe is true, Torah is true, and I'm a liar. But Rabbi Bar Chana is telling you what they said, so he said, Moshe is true, they're true, right? Torah is true, and they are liars. That's the simple way of understanding the Gemara. However, I would like to suggest that that's not the case. But that forever and ever, the sound of Korach and his people will carry on in hell itself, saying that Moshe is true, and the Torah is true, and everyone in Korach's group is pointing their finger at the person sitting next to them in Gehinnom and saying he was a liar. That guy told me that I should rebel. That guy told me that Moshe Rabbeinu is untrue. That guy said the whole thing about the tzitzit. It's his fault, it's her fault, it's their fault, they're liars, everyone except for me. My friends, I was thinking, how could that be? How could it be that in a world of truth, they could still hold on to the same lie? And the answer is, even in a world of truth, it's still that person's truth. It's that they are not allowed to lie. But if that's what they actually think, and that's what they actually feel, then that's the truth they keep saying. Similar to the Gemara in Gittin, where they talk about how they raised up their Roman ancestors, Ben Gida, from the next world, and they told them, start up with the Jews. You'll be given a very powerful position. Because Hashem only has powerful people start with the Jews. So if you attack the Jews, guys, in Gehinnom, for doing what? For attacking the Jews. And what is he telling you? From the next world. Attack the Jews. How could that be? The answer is, the Olam HaEmet just rips away when you were lying and you knew you were lying. But when that's what you feel in your bones, until Gehinnom does its work and purifies you, you're still that person. Moshe emet, Torato emet, vehem badaim. My friends, aren't there people that you know that do exactly this? My father should have been Podemi. He's the liar. They should have sent me to a Jewish school. It's his problem. My friends, Ma'asim b'chol yom. This happens all the time in the shul. People come, they study to read with Azur. People come, they study to read all of our children's program, the most beautiful program in the world. The kids come, they study with Jack Braha. How to read, how to pronounce, how to pray, how to lead the service. You have people, they'll tell you for the rest of their life, I don't know, I can't lead the tefillah. I never learned how to do it. All the people that read the tefillah, don't you think there was a time when they didn't know how to do it? The guys that are reading proficiently now, why are they reading proficiently now? Because they had the guts to stand up and go up to be the Hazan when they made 10 mistakes, until they made 9 mistakes. And then they made 8 and 7 and now none. And you'd look at them and you say, wow, what a beautiful, it's so amazing. You see a guy having a siyum. I want to give a shout out to the entire Jack Dweck crew who's going to be making a siyum on Masechet Sotah Be'ezrat Hashem beginning of July. Hopefully by the end of the summer, beginning of the new term, we're also going to be making our siyum on Moed Katan. You have people standing on the outside saying, nobody told me. I never went to Jewish school. Or I went to Jewish school, but the rabbi wasn't interested. He made me hate Gemara. My father brought me to shul, and the rabbi shushed me when I was a kid. Hem badaim. It's their fault. You know what the biggest tragedy is of not changing your tune? That you could be in Gehinnom and forever buying your own lies. End of the day, it comes down to you. I want to share with you a beautiful example of this. Rav Zilberstein is probably the rabbi that gets the most interesting Jewish questions in the world. A lot of rabbis, their questions involve the meat pot, the dairy spoon, the parv this, all right. Then you have rabbis who get very interesting questions. Rabbi Zilberstein has become famous for being the rabbi that gets the most interesting questions. So I'm going to share with you a question that's brought down. There's a rabbi, calls a parent into the school, tells a parent, listen, you know, your child is impossible, the class is difficult enough as is, but his ADHD is out of control. You need to put him on Ritalin or he can't come back to school. Parent says, really? Is there not a way? He says, listen, I can't deal. The class is Majnoon as is. It's too big. I can't be in charge also of your child, on top of that being bouncing off the walls. You need to medicate him, otherwise we can't handle him here. Parent, they hear this. You sure? Is this the right? Yeah. Anyway, they take him to the doctor. The doctor gives him a prescription. Tish. They give him the Ritalin. They ask the doctor, when's the best time for the kid to take it? The doctor said for this kid, the best time to take it is at 9 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, they come to the rabbi. They tell the rabbi, listen, the doctor said best time to take it is 9 o'clock in the morning. The only thing is, problem is school starts at 7:30, you're praying. We're going to do it with the kid. Every day he's going to leave class, everyone's going to know. The rabbi says, don't worry, I have a great idea. Every day, I'm going to send the kid out to the teacher's lounge to start the class. When we start class at 9 o'clock, I'll send him to the teacher's lounge. I'll have him get me a coffee. And when he brings me the coffee, he'll be able to get 2 minutes by himself. He'll be able to take his medication. And then, no one will know. Anyway, perfect. The plan works out amazing. My friends, the turnaround is immediate. Within 2 weeks, the kid's flying. Unbelievable. Father pulls his kid. He says, listen, I'm so proud of you. I can't believe it. We never knew that you could get such amazing results so quickly. Your teacher is so complimentary about everything. The kid starts laughing. Father says, what's the matter? He says, since day one, I go to the teacher's lounge, I put my Ritalin in his coffee. Why is everything so beautiful? Because it wasn't the kid who was the problem. It was the rabbi, the teacher. Now the teacher was controlling his ADD. He was able to control the class. Once he was able to control the class, this kid having ADD didn't matter. Father makes his favorite trip to the school he's ever made in his life. Rabbi, if we could have a few words. Oh yeah, I'll tell you again how amazing your son is doing since he started. Rabbi, it's about that. I don't know how to say this to you, but every morning at 9 o'clock he's leaving. He's putting the Ritalin in your coffee. The rabbi is flabbergasted. To his credit, instead of fighting, instead of yelling, screaming, cursing, throwing the kid out of school, what does he say? Hatati, aviti, pashati, et hatayani maskira yom. I said that the kid is the problem is me. The rabbi approaches Rav Zilberstein and asks, for the last 2 weeks, I've been taking this kid's Ritalin. Now from now on, I'm going to actually go on the medication myself. But am I obligated to pay the father back for the medication he bought for his son? I told you he gets the best questions. Anyway, just to not leave you hanging, the rabbi says, Rabbi Zilberstein says, you're not obligated. Why? The man was trying to solve the problem by getting the medicine for his son. If he could have two options, his son should take the medicine and his problem will be solved, or you should take the medicine and his problem will be solved. Which would he rather? You take the medication. End of the day, his medicine purchase solved the problem. So you don't have to pay him back. From now on, you should pay for it. But from up until now, my friends, I look at this story and I think to myself, how many times is that reaction us? The rabbi is looking at something which is really his problem, and what is he saying? Hem badaim, them, that guy. And by the way, is there some truth to what they're saying in Gehinnom? Absolutely. The only way Korach could have done this is if he had that guy agreeing with him. And the only way that guy could have done it is if the guy standing next to him agreed with him. So they're all pointing at their supporting cast and saying, what do you mean? Hey, and they're not wrong, but they're also not right, because they haven't taken ownership and taken responsibility. If your father wasn't podeh you, be podeh yourself. You didn't learn how to read? Sign up for the course. No one showed you how to put the tefillin on? Don't be embarrassed. Ask somebody. You see people in shul. Unbelievable. How long could you put tefillin on and put your tefillin over here? I challenge you, go to any shul in the community. You find a guy, tefillin over here. Guy's putting tefillin on his whole life. He's never fulfilled the mitzvah once. Maybe once at his bar mitzvah, when they put it in the right spot. The end of the tefillin cannot come beyond the person's hairline. And if you don't have a hairline anymore, it's where your hairline used to be. By the way, you have a choice to err forward or backwards. Always go backwards, because from the hairline to the middle of the head, you're yotzei mitzvah. So if your tefillin is here, you're good. But people are always erring forward. I don't know why they think they're supposed to look like a rhinoceros or a unicorn. I don't know what they think they're doing. But rather than ask, rather than be uncomfortable, rather than ask someone to show me the page, I'd much rather hold my security blanket and say, my father never did it for me. My rabbi, my school, my community, we didn't have this when we were growing up. You know, there's a very famous producer who used to say, I wish we had Aish 25 years ago when I was growing up. That's what he said. Aish HaTorah. They played it again and again and again and again and again. You know who the producer was? Steven Spielberg. I remember hearing that, and at first I was like, oh, that's so nice. He's saying he wished there was Aish 25 years ago. I have two answers to that. Answer number one, dear Steve, I don't know if you're watching this. You have lots of other film reels to catch up on. But Steve, if you're watching this, who cares about 25 years ago? Now, today, go online, find a class, get someone to come learn with you. Did you say about your movies, I wish I had CGI 25 years ago? No. You made your movies then with what you had. And what are you doing now? Now you're using whatever opportunities you have to make your new movies better. Are we taking advantage of what we have now? I wish someone spoke, I get this all the time, talking about Shalom Bayit to a couple at a wedding. Old guy will come over to me. I wish someone would have spoken to us like this all those years ago when we were a young couple. Rohi, if you're not dead, it's not too late. So Steve, first of all, you didn't have him 25 years ago back then. You got him now in your life. Do now. The second thing, maybe you didn't have that, but there's always something else. And there's always another way if you want it. Now the sad thing is that people don't know that they want it. I don't know if you've ever gone to a restaurant and they have a few items on the menu, dessert. You look at the menu, you're like, anyone want dessert? And everyone's like, nah. Have you ever have that? You know what the smart restaurants do? They have a little cart and they're pushing the desserts around the restaurant. Oh, that's it. Now they have iPad, item. It's got the picture on it. So the pic, khalas. You know why? Because until you saw the strawberry pavlova, you didn't know that you wanted it. Once you saw it, now you're ordering. Not 1, 4. My friends, 25 years ago, if you wanted to find it, you could have found it. You know what the problem was? You didn't know that you wanted to find it. Steve, I love you. You have one of the biggest platforms in the world. I'm not saying use your movies to make people more Jewish. But I'm saying, use your movies to make people want spirituality. Want to live a life where the be-all and end-all is not only money, fame, power. By the way, never mind those things, but also where life is not only about having a wife and kids and a white picket fence. In the movies, when the guy learns his lesson, then he goes home and you see him pick up his kids and he hugs his wife. Guys, I love my wife. Ahavti et ishti. Ahavti et banai. I love my wife. I love my children. So do you. But that's not it. That's not it. Every person can and should be, is required to be doing more. Not only for their innermost circle. You best believe it starts there. Until you're taking care of that circle, don't take care of anything else. But your expectation of yourself should be of that plus. That plus the people around you. Community, city. My friends, I'll end with this. In the end, the majority of the people in this world will say what Korach and his friends are saying in Gehinnom. I can't believe this is where we are. How did they let him get elected? That's what people will say. They. But what did you do? And by the way, your own vote is not enough. Who else did you bring? Who else did you call? Who else did you get riled up? Afterwards, everyone will point their fingers at everybody else and say, they did this. But what are you doing so that you don't get to that situation? We have this fatalistic approach in life where we believe that it's just going to happen anyway, and I just have to sit here and kvetch and cry and complain. We have two choices. Kvetch about what is, complain about what is, or make sure that that isn't what is. And this is true about the vote today. This is true about your children's education. This is true about your own learning. If you are finding that you have a bad character trait that you can't kick, stop saying, this is how I am, and this is how I was raised, and this is what we do. And start saying, what if we did things differently? Your father wasn't podeh you, go be podeh yourself. Baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen, amen.